Alright, so it really seems like the UFC hates Alexandre Pantoja. The guy's number 9 on the pound for pound list and doesn't even seem like he's being considered for the 135 belt, despite being a very dominant champion. And I really feel like the UFC's disrespecting Pantoja here, but before I get into why, I'd appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe. We're really close to 600 subs. Anyway, let me get into it. Now, recently Dana White basically confirmed that Sean O'Malley versus Merab 2 is the next fight for the bantamweight title in what was probably one of the most baffling statements I've ever heard in my entire life.
Sean O'Malley looking likely to rematch Merab, right? And we just got the Sandhagen announcement too. How did we get there with so many different options? I think for Sean O'Malley, we could have done maybe an Aldo possibility. There's, especially with him, so many options. How did the bantamweight division shake?
They want to fight each other. I think people want to see it.
Now, I don't know who these people are that want to see this fight, but I have no idea why the UFC wouldn't want to make Merab versus Pantoja over Merab versus O'Malley. Yet for some reason, it doesn't even seem like Pantoja was ever considered for the 135 belt in the first place. Now, I know Dana White has some strange sexual attraction to Sean O'Malley, but not only does Pantoja deserve that Merab fight way more than O'Malley does, Merab versus Pantoja is like a 20 million times better fight than Sean O'Malley versus Merab 2. It also just makes way more sense for both these guys' careers right now, because Merab doesn't really have a real contender in the division right now. Okay, no one's coming off a very impressive win streak, so he doesn't really have anyone in the division that deserves it. And then you have Alexandre Pantoja, who's completely cleared out his division. Okay, the two guys who are coming up right now are Manel Kape and Kai Kara France, and he's already beaten both those guys and is very likely to beat them again if they fight. And for Pantoja, getting a second belt would be absolutely huge for his career and huge for his legacy. And for Merab, he doesn't seem to really care about anyone who hasn't been a champion at one point, so I really think that Pantoja would be a perfect fight for him. And actually, both these guys seem to be interested in this fight, with Pantoja even saying he'd like to move up for the 135 belt.
I didn't see any contract. Nobody talk about me, who gonna be my next opponent. I really want to fight with Merab now for getting the second belt. But if I have opportunity, it's gonna be nice for me. People's putting this in my mind, and now I start to think that's a good idea.
So Pantoja is clearly interested in this fight, and although Merab hasn't came out saying that he's directly interested in this fight, his coach Ray Longo has come out and said, "I'd like to see Merab versus Pantoja. Alexandre Pantoja should come up and fight him. He's basically cleared out the division." Now, I don't understand why the UFC don't promote Pantoja as much as they should do. He's one of the most dominant champions in the UFC right now, having cleared out the division before he even got to the belt. And I know it's kind of difficult to promote flyweights because people don't really care about the lighter guys, but as far as flyweights go, I think Pantoja is probably one of the easiest guys to promote. I mean, if you just look at his fights, he had the entertaining finish over Kaya Sakura, he had the absolute war with Steve Erceg, he kind of had a stinker against Brandon Royval, but apart from that, the Brandon Moreno fight was an absolute war. On top of that, the guy is fairly interesting to listen to, and he's a Brazilian that actually speaks English. But for some reason, the UFC do not push this guy as much as they should do, okay? They put more promotion into guys like Tatsuo Taira than they do for the literal champion of the division. Now, I understand that it's Pantoja's job to promote himself, but I really do think that they need to push this guy to be more open on social media and talk more, because if you just look at guys like Merab and Belal, who are fairly boring fighters and people didn't really like, Merab basically just did some skits on Instagram, started trash talking, and immediately his fan base doubled, okay? And it was the same with Belal, he kind of just started trash talking. Basically all he did was tweet. Literally all Belal had to do to gain a real fan base was just tweet. This guy basically just tweeted a ton, and then he managed to grow in people just by trash talking online. Literally that's all Pantoja has to do, and I think that his fan base will grow a ton. Now, I think easily the most disrespectful thing that the UFC has done to Pantoja is put him number 9 on the pound for pound rankings, below guys who aren't even champion and don't even have a title defense yet. The only guys I really think that deserve to be above Pantoja right now have to be Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, and maybe John Jones, depending on the kind of guy you are. And I guess you can maybe have Merab and Dricus du Plessis there as well, but I honestly think that Pantoja is a stronger champion than both those guys. But guys like Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev, and especially Belal Muhammad really do not deserve to be above Pantoja right now. Not only does he have the second most title defenses in the UFC as a champion, he's also beaten almost every single person inside the top 10, which is absolutely crazy to do and should automatically put him higher on the pound for pound list. Yet for some reason, he's under guys like Belal Muhammad, who beat Leon Edwards for the title. So I really feel like Pantoja is getting disrespected by the UFC right now, especially with the pound for pound rankings, the way that they're not giving him the Merab fight. I really do feel like they just hate him, and I feel like it's really unfair to Pantoja, because the guy is a really cool champion. He's fairly active, he's willing to defend against anyone, and he's one of the few guys who actually just want to defend their belt, okay? I know I've been talking about him wanting to move up and fight Merab, but he wants to stay down and fight like Kai Kara France and Manel Kape and all those guys, which nowadays is like a blessing considering every single champion wants to move up. Now I just want to talk quickly about Merab versus Pantoja because I think that's a really interesting matchup, and for some reason I don't know why the UFC don't want to do this fight. Okay, this really makes no sense to me because I think this would be a huge fight. Okay, I've already talked about it, but not only would this be a huge fight, this is such an entertaining clash of styles as well, because Pantoja is basically just like a smaller but better Merab, and I really think that this would be an absolute crazy fight to see considering both of these guys are like absolute marauders. Okay, but I really do think that Pantoja would probably win this fight, and it would be an absolutely crazy outcome, and it'd be crazy to see Pantoja win the belt as well. But maybe Merab's size will be too much for him, but I really do think that Pantoja would win. He's the way more powerful guy here. He has better striking as well. He's better grappling. He's just way more well-rounded. Maybe the gas tank won't hold up, but I really do think he has a solid chance in beating Merab, and that would just be an absolute crazy fight compared to everything else because no one else really seems like they can beat Merab right now. Okay, Jan probably won't beat Merab. O'Malley probably won't beat Merab. Umar has a decent chance, but he still has to work his way back up. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and this video wasn't even real. Okay, I got you guys for April Fool's Day.